Hello there and welcome to my channel. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment something kind. My name is Mary. And today I shall do a little, I don't really know what the correct terminology is, but I will do some sort of review of, I guess maybe it's considered a movie review. A few days ago, I went to the theater and they were doing a special showing. They were showing Spirited Away, a Ghibli movie. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly. One of my best friends, Tess, is a huge fan of that whole thing of the Ghibli movies. And actually she asked me to make a little movie review for her. And then I thought, hey, why not make it into a YouTube video as well? So I'm very new to this, whatever you call it, of movies, you know, of their studio movies of Ghibli. I did see the Ponyo movie a couple of years ago, but I only saw it kind of like in passing, like I kind of saw it from afar. So I did kind of get a little bit of a feel for these types of movies perhaps. But anyway, so I went into this movie, so I went with my brother, and initially I thought it was going to be like a very flowy fantasy fairy tale kind of thing of maybe like a young girl going into like a forest. I don't know why, that's just what I thought it was gonna be about. And then meeting cool creatures in the forest or something. But my friend Tess warned me before I went, and she was like, hey, actually that movie is kind of creepy, so just go into it with an open mind. And I was like, oh, really? I did not expect it to be creepy. My brother had already seen it numerous times, and he said that he really, really loved that movie. And I said, hey, great, let's go together because I have been meaning to get more experience with these movies, with the Ghibli movies. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm just gonna kind of talk freely about my experience watching this movie. First off, we arrived a little bit late, so we missed the beginning. So the part that we walked in on is when the main girl and her two parents were already entering the tunnel, and then the main girl is like, hey, I don't want to keep going, and her parents were like, come on, we gotta keep going, let's go explore. I was like, they're kind of being a bit weird. It was like she was the adult and they were like children, it felt like. So that's the part that I came in on, so I didn't get to see the true beginning. As my friend provided me the tip to go into it with open mind, I really made sure that I was open-minded. So pretty much, okay, so the movie continues, you know, her parents, oh, maybe, I don't know, there might be spoilers in this, I guess, but yeah, her parents turn into pigs and like they're gobbling down all that food. I mean, I will say, as I started to eat all that food, I was like, what are they doing? I mean, I know it's a movie, but I'm like, why are these parents just like gobbling down all this food, like so being so immature? And she's just like, no, we shouldn't do that. I was like, this is already kind of a funny situation. So the movie just continues to roll on and roll on. And throughout the duration of the movie, I'm just like, when is any of this going to make any sense? When is any of this going to tie together? Like, where is this going? It's just like this continuum. And throughout me watching it, I was thinking, wow, I've never done any of these harder drugs, I guess, but it really just, the main thing I was relating it to is someone's drug experience, you know, just like on a trip, you know, they're seeing these different creatures and then it morphs into this, and then suddenly they're in this other room and there's this weird person with numerous hands, and like, you know, it's just like, it felt like I was just sitting there and experiencing someone's acid trip or something. So that's kind of the main thing I was noticing. And I was just like, as I already said, the whole time I was just like, when is any of this going to make any sense? Which it was a cool experience because me, as my first time watching it in the audience, you know, I was pretty much in the same position as the main girl. Sorry, I don't even remember anyone's names. Oh, it was like Hiro something. And then they switched her name to like Shu or something. I don't remember. Anyways, I'm not good at memory names. So yeah, that was kind of the cool aspect of it, is that like I was going through the motions with the main girl because I also was just like, what in the world is going on? And I did have some times during the film where I was also kind of getting emotional because I'm like, dang, this poor girl is going through so much. I feel so bad for her. And then like the part where the sweet guy gave her the food and he was like, just keep eating. I put a spell on it to give you more energy. And then she's like eating it, you know, and feeling so grateful for him. And then she just started to pour down crying and crying. Just the way that she had different breakdowns throughout the movie, I was just like, oh, the creator of it did such a good job at like at portraying these different emotions and how they come through, and how like when she's given this little inch of comfort or a little inch of kindness from someone, it's like then she breaks down and cries, you know? And just, yeah, I really felt for it, you know? I was getting emotional too during those different parts. Because it's just like, what the heck is going on? Like, what is going on? And like, everyone like hated her and they're all being so mean to her. And then she was all like, what? I thought I could trust this guy. He seems so trustworthy. But then these other people are like, no, he's super untrustworthy. Like, don't trust a thing. And then this creepy lady, I was just like, what is going on? And then she has the twin. So like, there's the scary lady that turns into like a bird. And she has that big baby. It's just like, there's so much weird stuff. I will say the cute part was, I'm sure everyone agrees, the little dust mites, or the little, what do you call them? You know what I'm talking about. The little black circle, what do you call them? Coal dust or something. They were so cute. And I loved the part when, what's her name, sprinkles the food for them and little stars that they're eating. I was like, what a cute random detail that made me so joyous to see them eating the little colorful stars. So that was a highlight. In the like no face person thing, whatever, I was like, what is going on? There was just like the whole thing. I was just like, when is any of this gonna tie together? And then bam, it's done. It's over. That's how it felt for me anyways. But yeah, I mean, I really liked the guy. He was really cool. Oh yeah, but I was gonna say, okay, so there's the evil lady, you know, that turns into a bird. And then she has the twin sister, which I didn't even register at first. I thought it was someone pretending to be her or something. Anyway, so she's like the main evil lady, and then she has a twin sister that apparently is really sweet. At first she seemed kind of creepy too, but I guess she's sweet. She lives in a cute little cottage, you know. The place that she lives is so much more like enjoyable. Like the evil lady, her place with the big curtains, I was like, oh, get me out of this place. I did not like the setup of her office or wherever she was. But her good twin sister, who looks the exact same as her, yeah, she lives in a cute cottage, and yeah, apparently she's really sweet. She took in the lonely no-face person. Oh, and I also thought it was so cute, the little characters on her shoulder as she's going on the train. I thought that was so cute, you know, the little the little creatures, they were adorable. Like the little fat mouse and then the little fly thing on top. That was so cute. And I thought it was really sweet too. I'll get back to the twins, but yeah, I thought it was really sweet how the main girl was just, you know, she's a little girl, so she's just like so understanding and so open-hearted towards the no-face creature, and she was like, let him still go on the adventure with her. I thought that was really sweet. I thought there was gonna be more to some of these characters. Like I thought it was gonna be more deep, or like more like, I thought we were gonna know more about this no-face person and know more about this whole situation, but I feel like I still don't really understand like a lot of the parts of the movie. But anyways, and I'll get to that. I feel like, for me anyways, I feel like there was an overall like theme, or like an overall feeling that I took away, which I'll get to in a second. But first, let me just discuss a little bit the twins. To me, so yeah, there's the evil twin and the good twin. At least how I viewed it, I almost felt like that kind of shows, to me, it's like we could be either of those things. Like for me, for example, it's like I could tap into that lady's energy, the evil lady, and be like, live out that type of persona, I guess. Or we can choose. To me, she was one person, I guess is what I'm saying. To me, it wasn't two separate people. To me, it's like one person, and you could go either way. Like, you know, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's kind of like Gollum, you know, in Lord of the Rings. It's like he carries within him both of those. This really sweet little creature that's very humble and genuine, and also this like evil, like conniving, like blah, type of persona, spirit, whatever. So again, it's kind of hard to explain, but that's just how I saw it. It's kind of like an example and kind of a form of inspiration to see. It's like, okay, this evil lady could present herself and be this other type of version of her, which is empathetic and kind and warm and more cozy, you know, like all those things. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel like it's not quite as like makes sense, but as I was watching it, to me, it made sense, and it was, yeah, as I said, it was kind of inspiring. Like, okay, in a way, it's kind of like that quote, you know, you can choose. There's on your shoulder. There's the wolf. What's it? Or no, you can feed the evil wolf within you, or you can feed like the kind wolf. You know what I'm saying? That quote. And it's like, which wolf are you gonna feed, or whatever? You know what I'm saying? I need to look what that quote actually is, but hopefully it's making some sort of sense. To me, that's what that represented, the evil sister versus the kind sister, twin. Anyways, and then, yeah, okay, I guess I'll just do the overview too, like the overview. it kind of reminded me of Harry Potter. You know, the main girl, she was, at least from what I understood of her, she was pretty just down to earth in a way. You know, she was just kind of like, she was there. She had good morals. She was just trying to help out her parents the whole time. She was like, why are my parents turned into pigs? You know, that was her whole motive. She was lost. She was confused. She was like, why does everyone hate me? Why do I have to hide from everyone? Why does everyone like smell me? Because she's a human, I guess. Like, where am I? What are all these creatures? Like, what the heck is going on? Oh yeah, that in the beginning too, when she was like, I'm just dreaming. Even I was kind of starting to panic. I was like, oh, am I tripping out? You know, like I was getting a little bit in the beginning, you know, when she was like, what's happening? I was also like, you know, for her, I was getting, you know, anyways. So yeah, just, it kind of reminds me of Harry Potter in that, you know, she's just kind of like this random person, this young person thrust into this whole other world where people all know her, I guess, in a way, and just confused and don't really know who to trust. And like, there's just so much going on. It's just thing after thing after thing, and all this kind of like traumatic experiences, and they have to keep trying to prove themselves. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And then there's little bits of like kind parts, you know. So that's what it reminded me of as well. Sort of like Harry Potter. Mostly it reminded me of someone's drug trip. But also to me, it kind of felt like just an overview of life. And it inspired me in that sense. Like, it just kind of felt like, I'm not saying this is totally accurate, but it's almost like you're thrown into life, and it's just thing after thing. Life just keeps going, and just like, now you're going through this, and you have to try to do your best, and then you're going through this. And she did such a good job at doing her best, you know? She really did. And that was also another really inspiring thing. Like, she was the underdog. She had no idea where she was. She had no idea what was happening. All she could do is just be brave and try her best. And she did, you know, but yet it still showed her being afraid. It still showed her messing up. But even so, you know, she had that motive. She's like, I need to save my family. Like, I have no idea what the heck is going on, but I just have to do this. It's this or die, I guess, you know, get tortured or turn into a pig or whatever. Kind of like overall of life, just like you're thrust into it. There's a challenge. There's a new thing. Now you're living here and you're experiencing this. Then this thing comes up, and it's just like, all you can do is be brave and go through it and try your best. And try to have good morals. That's the other thing that she was really good at least from my memory of the movie. I feel like she never really went against her morals. She was always very like, just like in Harry Potter, you know, he was like, this is the right thing to do. Of course I'm going to do it, you know. And whereas the other people in Spirited Away, a lot of them were like kind of corrupt, you know, with like, oh, I want the money, or like, whatever. Like, you know, they're kind of like swayed by swayed. They didn't have strong values, I guess, you know, it seemed. Or morals, or whatever you call it. So, she was a great role model in that sense for life. You know, after I watched the movie, even though I was like, what? But still, the feeling that was with me was like, okay, I can do this too. You know, life can sometimes feel, I'm not saying this is how it is, but it can sometimes feel like just one thing after the other, you know, just one challenge. I already said, you know, just like one challenge, one thing, and then it's like, you have to face this new scary thing, and then there's some pockets of kindness, but you know, it's just kind of like this wild ride. It's like, what is all this? What are all these experiences? You know, what am I even doing here? I just have to try my best, and man, it can be exhausting. It can be a lot, but you know, to try to just keep that vigor within you to just keep going through it. And I mean, at the end, you know, it was, I guess, a happy ending in the sense of there was other feelings too. You know, she was kind of like, it was almost like she didn't want to leave. You know, she's kind of like, she wasn't allowed to look back, but she was kind of like, you know, which I understand. Of course, you're going to kind of miss all those characters and all those people you met and that special guy, you know. But yeah, at the end, everyone was cheering for her and saying, ooh, yay, she's such a great person. People were starting to realize, oh, she actually does make good decisions. She is trying to be a good person, you know. It's just kind of like an overview of life, just like one wild ride after the other. This whole thing is one wild ride of wackiness of just like, huh? And some things you don't really understand, or some things you never really know what's up, but you just roll with it, you know? And that's the thing too. That's why, so when I got out of the theater, I was like, what did I just watch? You know, I'm like, there must have been a bunch of symbolism, or there must have been a bunch of wise storylines in there that I just did not catch on to. Because as I said, when it ended, I was just like, the whole experience, I was just waiting for something to make sense. I'm sure some of it made sense, but that's just kind of how I felt when I was sitting in the theater. I was like, when is any of this, as I said, like, it just felt like it was a wild ride, bro. Like, when is any of this going to tie together? Like, what? As I said, some of it did tie together, but that was just kind of my general feeling at the end. That's why I was like, immediately upon getting home from the theater, I was like Googling, like, what's the deeper meaning of this movie? Like, what are some of the, what do you call it? Like, meaning, I guess, what are the meanings behind different things in the story? Like, what are these different characters supposed to represent? Just trying to like look it up. And some of it was just like, I guess, obvious things, just like touching upon global warming, or whatever you want to call it, touching upon pollution and the breakdown of our beautiful nature, environment, and people's greed, you know. So, I mean, some of it was pretty like face value, like, okay, these people are really motivated by money and then it turns corrupt, or, you know, they're motivated by eating a bunch of food and then, you know, so I mean, some of it was kind of pretty straightforward. But actually, at some points in the movie, I was a little bit spooked. It was a little bit creepy, I will say. Granted, I get spooked out very easily. So yeah, it was a little bit creepy, but not too much, you know, just kind of. That's my overview. This is pretty long, actually. I thought it was gonna be like 5 minutes. And let me know what you thought of the movie, or any other thoughts you have upon the stuff that I said. I'm sure I forgot to mention certain parts, so let me know. I'm sure I did forget. Maybe after I stop recording, I'll be like, wait, I forgot to mention this like really big part of it that I want to talk about. But yeah, I didn't write down any notes. I just kind of wanted to talk about it freely. So, and I guess, yeah, at the end too, you know, I guess she's about to move to a new house and start a new school. So it's just kind of like, wow, that seems so frivolous. That seems so, I guess, easy in a way, or just so normal, it feels like, compared to this crazy whirlwind of all this crazy stuff that went on. And now she's like starting new school and new house, which probably before all of this, she felt like this was the craziest, biggest thing, I'm guessing. But now after all this crazy, and then it's like, okay, like, I can do that. Like, I've already done all this. So there's my little synopsis of it. As I said, let me know what you think. That's all for now. Peace. Talk to you later. Goodbye.